god, Wotan, or as he would later become known, Othin. Othin, of course, the chieftain of the Aesir gods, would give us so much over his, throughout many of the sagas written, particularly by Snorri, about all of his endeavors. But before we get started today about Wotan, or Othin, I want to say, firstly and foremost, for those of you who haven't checked it out yet, please make a point to check out newrealitytv.com. There you will find a collection of all types of perspectives about our spiritual journey and how to bring your life into balance, that you may experience the peace within your own mind, and certainly all the benefits of creating a relationship with the ancestors. So if you haven't got a chance, check it out. For those of you who haven't subscribed, liked, or followed on one of our multiple platforms, please take a moment to do so. Ring the bell so you know each and every weekday morning and, of course, Wednesday evenings, we produce a message that hopefully provides you with some form of intellect and knowledge that can help you obtain or maintain your mental space. As always, if you haven't had a chance yet, you can always check out this show, which is available on all the platforms there that you podcast. So welcome to check it out there. Finally, draw a line there. For those of you who have a few extra coins, want to drop them in the tip jar, by all means, please feel free to do so. Every little bit goes to helping us to complete, deliver this message worldwide. So get a chance, please do so. For those of you who are joining us on Facebook, as always, you have the availability of the live chat. By all means, throw something in there. Let me know if you have questions. Great opportunity to get some answers and hopefully delve into some of the topics that will help you, again, to obtain and maintain your mental space. Finally, as we get ready for our message today, just a reminder for those of you who need an extra ear to bend, for those of you who just need to, maybe somebody who can listen, by all means, check out my website, norsewhispers.com. There you can find all the information about me, my message, my practice, everything is there in one concise location. So be sure to check that out and bookmark it, because you never know, things are always changing there. All right, so today we're talking about the Norse god Wotan. Now, Wotan is the recognition within the Germanic tribes of the god Othin. Othin, of course, being the Norse supreme god of the Aesir tribe. He would be known by many names, the Traveler, the Allfather. He is very encompassing and a very complex individual. Throughout the many different sagas, both of the Norse, which stems from many of the works are from Snorri in Iceland, roughly 1100, somewhere in there, and he speaks quite frequently about the many oral tales about Wotan or Wotan. Now, one of my favorite of all the tales about Othin was his journey to the Well of Ur. Now, for those of you not familiar with this in Norse legend and lore, as we know, the Yggdrasil is the center tree of life. It is in the center of all the 9 realms. It holds all the 9 realms in place. It is also the place at which the Bifrost connects these 9 realms together, according to Norse legend. Now, we, individual humans, mortals, and all life on Midgard, all life on the physical realm, so whether it's on Midgard or another planet, all life is connected to this center tree of life called Yggdrasil. Now, in that, we pass our physical experiences back and over to Yggdrasil, where Yggdrasil then brings in all of these experiences, passes it down through its trunk into its roots. Now, Yggdrasil, according to the legends, has three main roots, and they were placed in different places. One was in Helfheim. They're kind of scattered around the realms. And one is the Well of Erd. Now, when we speak about the Well of Erd, the Well of Erd was, I don't know that protected's a good word, but it was accompanied by the Norse sisters, the three Norse sisters. And they were very comparable to the fates of the Greek understanding. Okay, so past, present, future. Erd, of course, being the eldest of the three. Although many different assignments and much information about her, her primary mission was when spiritual selves bonded with a physical form, she would assign a certain time frame that your physical experience, your physical life would be. So she'll say how long you're going to live in this physical form. Once we pass from our physical form at the end of our ride, so to speak, we're going to appear before Skald. Now, Skald had a very unique task in that she decided who went to which hall in Asgard or with the Vanir tribe, whichever, wherever they went. She was the one who did that. Now, there were some generalistic rules. Obviously, the Valkyries could bypass this when they rescued 50% of men and women who would die in battle. So the Valkyries got 50%. Well, I should say, Odin got 50%. The Valkyries would come and swipe the spirits, and 50% would go to Odin, and 50% would go to Freya. Now, that's kind of how it divvied up, of which once we arrived at the hall, we would feast, we would drink, we would celebrate, we would retell the stories of our lives to the others that were present until Ragnarok, at which we would be reborn into our physical forms, or a physical form, at which we would battle the forces of the opponents, the giants, and the like, and a new realm, our new existence would be formed. So that's it in a Reader's Digest version. But what does that mean for your mental health? Great question. So, back to Odin's quest. Odin sought wisdom. Now, when we read about him in his earlier days, particularly during his days of being Odin, and we know about his father Bor, and we know his brothers Vili and Vi, he and his brothers would slay the giant Ymir, and Ymir would then form Midgard, among other things. So they slew him. So we find a very combative, a very physically brutal Woden. And then as time would pass, as Woden becomes Odin, we see a kind of a transition from the violence of earlier days to the seeking of wisdom. What was this wisdom? What is wisdom? Well, that's a great question. Wisdom is the application of experiences to knowledge. Okay? So you can either have knowledge or you can have experience. The two don't really build into this thing called wisdom until you connect them. So we learn about something and we read our books, we do our studies, we learn. And then once we experience it, we begin to raise above our level of knowledge that we obtain from our studies, and we kind of begin to grow that. That's wisdom. That's what we mean by wisdom. Now, how do you get wisdom? Well, if wisdom is indeed knowledge plus experiences, if we read about it, we're gaining the knowledge. We're gaining that aspect of it. But yet we have to live it. We have to experience it in some form. Now, don't recommend some of the extremes, obviously, and many of these things may be illegal nowadays. However, what you see is an experience. Now, this is particularly important when we talk about emotional wisdom, because wisdom is wisdom is wisdom, whether we're talking about physical acts or we're talking about emotional or how we feel. We have to experience it. We can be told it. We can have a multitude of stories and second and third hand experiences of these things. But a lot of it comes down to that first hand experience. Now, I will say the alteration to this is when you have individuals who are retelling you stories and giving second hand or third hand accounts, but have you, in your mentality, have issued them a level of authority, right? So you believe what they're saying. So here's trust. Trust is going to come into this retelling of the story. Now, as we gain these second, first-hand experiences from whomever, we've extended this level of trust. These ideas are going to help form some of our values. Now, some of them may contrast our own values, some of them may complement them, or some of them may be completely new. All of this is going on in your mind all the time. Your mind is connected to your heart. We know this. So we're talking about a line of congruence that exists between what our thought process is and what we're feeling. Okay? So we've talked about this many times before, but when we are experiencing the world, the reality at which we exist, these experiences come into our sensory input, right? They're converted to energy. The energy is then moved across the nervous system inside the body to a processing point. Now, there's two main processing points that we have to concern ourselves with whenever we see, hear, taste, touch, or smell. The first one being the emotional processor, or the emotional filters, I call them. These emotional filters are how you feel. So this is a mindset that you've set your mind to, right? So get up on the wrong side of the bed, we get into an argument with another individual. It sets our mood to a specific emotional state, and that emotional state then manipulates this energy that's coming into our brain. It manipulates it before it sends it to the brain for processing. Now, what does manipulate mean? Well, let's think about it this way. In the emotional filters, there's kind of two walls. We'll call them two doors, okay? Two doors. We have the entry door here, and then another door going further into the brain, okay? In the first door, this is where energy shows up. Energy arrives at the first door. It opens the door, and it's greeted, and it's kind of, hey, how are you? Are you on the guest list, right? And we look you up, and one of the things that you're going to present, or this energy is going to present, I should say, is this ID card. And on that ID card is the signature of some emotional state. Could be anything, right? A lot of it is kind of neutral in its orientation, but nonetheless, we could have sorrow, we could have disappointment, we could have shock, we could have all kinds of emotional states attached to this energy. Now, the energy comes in the first door and its ID is checked. And what's going to happen is, as we move from the first door to the second door, in the meantime, that doorman on the first door is going to signal the heart, right? He's going to call into the headquarters there, and he's going to say, hey, I've got this signature and they're coming in through the doors. Okay. The heart, which is the headquarters building here, picks up the phone and says, okay, you have anger coming in. All right. So and they're going to go and literally release hormones into your bloodstream. Right? The hormones are going to come out, they're going to float around your body. They're going to wind up in your brain, so that when this energy passes through the second door, the brain is receptive to what it is. Okay? Now, in that time, so you come through that first door, and the doorman checks your ID. He's notified the heart. He's going to say, hey, this room was set up this way, right? So you need to change this energy. You need to change what you look like, how you're dressed. Maybe this is a black tie affair, and you need to change into a tie, okay? As an example, and I'm giving an analogy here, because what's going to happen is, while it's in the emotional processing state, it changes. The energy can change, right? So instead of seeing something happy that we wanted to see, we alter it just a little bit, and now we see something that's either here or there. Or we wanted to see this, and lo and behold, we saw this negative. All right? Why? Because our brain is changing what we're seeing. Our experience in reality is changed in those emotional filters. Then when the energy passes through the second door, it's actually going into memory, and it's stored now with the energy state at which we adjust it to, right? So the doorman called down to the heart released some hormones came up and joined this energy as it entered into memory. Okay? That's a very good visual of the processing that's going to occur as we interpret the reality before us. Okay? Now, this process can be altered from the moment you open your eyes. If, as an example, we were to wake up in the morning and we were grumpy, we didn't sleep well, we were grumpy, we may have some pains in our bodies, whatever the case, we wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Okay? This mindset sets the brain in motion. So it now sets these emotional filters that everything you see, until it changes, everything you see will be interpreted to bolster that emotional state. As an example, if you jump up, get dressed really fast because you're hurt, you're late, you overslept, you get dressed real fast, you grab a breakfast burrito on your way out the door, you jump in your car and you drive to work, okay? Because you're late. So you're driving fast. And of course, today, everyone on the road seems to want to drive the speed limit. But you're in a hurry. You're late. You could be fired. You're late. So, high energy, right? Everything you see and hear and taste and touch and smell is going to support the mood you woke up in. So if you jump in your car and you're already grumpy because you're late, you're stressed, you're nervous, you're worried, jump in your car and you start driving, everyone's going to cut you off, everyone's going to drive slow, everyone's going to be just problematic to your commute. Not to mention, the streets may just seem dingy. Right? All of this is being interpreted by your brain. Your brain is now changing what could alternatively be a very wonderful experience. It's changing into something that's not so wonderful, just based on what it's allowing through. So you could look at a particular scene on your commute to work, and you could see it one of two ways. You can see it negatively, or conversely, we can see it in a very positive, very energetic, very happy, very just wonderful perspective. That's up to us. We can either allow our emotional state, i.e. that grumpy mood that we woke up on, to drive our processing into our memories, or we say, nope, I am looking at the beautiful, look, the flowers are coming up through the snow. The rain last night, so look at the parts of the streets that are spiffy clean, and Mother Yord got a shower, she's refreshed, she's rejuvenated, right? Every time you see that little patch of grass and on your commute to work, right? It's, look, Mother Yord is clean and fresh and rejuvenated. So you can see things one way or another. That decision is up to you. If we choose to just allow our processing to handle and not manage it, just give me whatever you got, right? Our mood dictates what we see, and we cannot see things, completely ignore them, completely overlook them, because our brain is not looking for it. So it's not sifting through the data to find what you're hoping to see. Now, the good news is, in much the same way as we've trained our brains to be negative and rather moody, we can train it the other way. And we can say, hey, maybe an affirmation on your windshield as you get in, start driving your car, and you are going to be grumpy, but your affirmation says, find the good, find the beauty, right? This was kind of the idea behind bumper stickers, right? When they were positive and enlightening. Find the positive, find the good, find the beauty, right? All of a sudden your brain trips. Flip a switch. And you know, it's all right. It's going to be all right. That song comes on the radio, right? Or if you're playing your music from your phone, your favorite song comes on the radio. And all of a sudden, things are just a little bit better, right? Have you had that moment? Most of us have. This is simply the brain's way of changing our perspective. And we have that power. We always have that power. We have a choice. We can choose to see the negative, the ugh, or we can choose to be positive, to see the beauty that is all around us. It's everywhere, right? So we always have that authority up here. When you have people and you're commuting with ride sharing, and they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you can help change their reality simply by suggesting the beauty that you see. Wow, look at that. Look at that grass. It's starting to come up through the dirt. It's having a wonderful life. It's having a wonderful experience. This is changing our perspective, but just as importantly, we can change our friends or our colleagues' quantum physics perspective, you can inject the energy they need to switch their perspective. And this is really what we do, why we do what we do, why many people like myself, shaman and medicine people and helpers throughout the world, are looking to help others, not by doing it for them, by simply offering them a different perspective. Once we change our perspective and we begin to look at things in a more positive, more enlightening way, our world changes. Our whole reality changes. Our existence becomes something that we couldn't have dreamed even days ago. Why? Because now we've changed that perspective and we're moving towards experiences that are giving us a better overall feel to the knowledge we have in our mind. Right? We all know that love is the most powerful energy in the universe. Right? And when we begin to embrace that love, there's this trickle effect. Particularly, I'm reminded of my own journey where as I begin to understand this, I became more peaceful. I found myself in more harmony with life forms around me. I just felt more comfortable being me, which put my mind more at peace so it could process and I could see things for the beauty that they are. So many of these things started kind of happening until, well, here we are today at Woden's Day. My friends, wisdom are life's experiences plus our knowledge. This works for both our physical acts as well as our emotional energy. We're managing both simultaneously. So, the better control and the better understanding we have of these things, the better we're going to set ourselves up for a better mental space, to be at peace. My friends, I wish you the very best Woden's Day. I look forward to seeing you tonight, 6:30 Alaska time, for Sports Mall, where we'll answer a question that someone has asked and hopefully get them the answer they need. In addition, get them a free shirt in the mail that they can wear and use and keep and hopefully enjoy. In the meantime, I wish you the very best, and I hope that you embrace the positive, the light, the love that there is on Midgard, because it's in abundance. All right? And it's really what Odin wanted us to know. All right? My friends, have a wonderful Woden's Day. Love and light.